Hey guys, Dr. Marcus here. I just want to take a few minutes to let's talk about the one thing that is even worse for our kids' health than toxins. That would be birth trauma. Parents, if you tried every little bit of lifestyle cleanup and nutritional healing out there, taking all the chemicals and toxins out of your home, diet, and so forth, but yet your child is still struggling with things like allergies, asthma, frequent colds, or respiratory infections, or even neurological challenges like ADHD, sensory processing disorder, and anxiety, this video is going to be for you. In this video, we're discussing the actual science behind why so many kids struggle with toxins and other chemicals that show up in our everyday lives, like food dyes, preservatives, gluten, dairy, and so forth. Are you a mom, or maybe you even know a mom that's had a very long, drawn out, and difficult delivery process? Or maybe you've had an increased stress during your pregnancy, such as preeclampsia, gestational diabetes. All of these cases can cause stress on the nervous system of a child. Long, drawn-out labor times put very high amounts of stress on both mom, but also the newborn. Our birth trauma story is a little different. We did not have the obvious birth trauma like extended labors or C-sections. Our birth process seemed on paper pretty smooth, pretty perfect. However, looking back now, knowing what I know now, I can see the signs and results of birth trauma on our oldest daughter, Kinley. My wife is a rock star. She's birthed two amazing angels. She's never had epidurals and other medical interventions during her deliveries. So where's the birth trauma, you may ask? Well, that all starts around the time that we found out that we were blessed with our first daughter. We were told that she was pre-hypertension, which means she was right on the borderline of high blood pressure. So the entire 9 months of pregnancy, she was having to go 2 to 3 times a week to have checkups, fetal heart rate, blood work, and other scans to check and verify the status of our daughter. Those constant appointments and doctors telling her that there could potentially be an issue with our daughter put Christy, and any mom it would, under a lot of emotional stress during pregnancy. That emotional stress from mom has a direct impact on the fetus while in the womb. The brain and the central nervous system are the first thing that is formed. Therefore, while the fetus is in the mother's womb, they're already in the developmental stage of life, which is amazing. The very first thing, the delivery process in our oldest daughter, what we noticed, it was very quick. The delivery was only about 3 hours. But whenever Kinley came out, the first thing that we noticed is she would not latch on one side. She had a resistance. Me being the awesome dad, chiropractor that I am, I wanted to jump right in there and figure out what was going on, what was causing the imbalance. What I found was she had a subluxation in the very top of her neck that was causing stress on her nervous system, which led to improper movement, which furthermore caused neurological dysfunction. Once that subluxation was removed, she was then able to immediately nurse on both sides without having any issue. We know that the physical and emotional stress that mom was under during the pregnancy may have actually led to the initial subluxation. Fortunately, we were able to correct that subluxation right away. The problem is, if I wasn't already a pediatrically focused chiropractor, then I would have been told that it is normal for my daughter to have a favorite side and not nurse or turn the other way. I would not have thought that anything was wrong. If that subluxation stayed in my daughter's nervous system for a long period, she could have easily been right there alongside many of the other sympathetic, overloaded kids that we see in our clinic every single day, dealing with all types of diagnoses that all lead back to them just being stuck in fight or flight neurologically all day. While traditional medical doctors, pediatricians, and of the sort still basically blame everything on genetics and bad luck for our kids' health challenges, parents today are starting to wake up. They're starting to know that there's something else going on. We can look at parents and grandparents and the statistical increase in almost every category of childhood diseases over diagnosis. If it is truly genetic, then why would multiple generations not see the same rise generation to generation like we have over the last few? One answer, obviously, we track, we document, we have more technology than we ever have. There's some validity to that, but it still does not account for the drastic increase that we do have now. What we know, though, is researching the nervous system that in almost every case, there is stress that occurred at some point during the pregnancy or birth process. The initial stress leads to something called dyskinesia, or a neurological fixation or stress stuck on. This constant stress leads to what is known as disafferentation. Disafferentation is the communication from the body up to the brain. Disafferentation means the signals that are sent up to the brain are distorted or confused. This is when we know that there's a subluxation. We know that a subluxation is an input problem, not an output problem. When you have distorted signals going up to the brain, you're going to get distorted signals or communication from the brain back down to the body. This is called dysautonomia. When your body and brain communication is confused and not functioning appropriately, it will lead to then dysfunction and furthermore dysregulation, which is where most kids, when they finally come into our office, they're experiencing motor or speech delays. This also explains the noise and confusion that's happening with kids that deal with autism, childhood seizures, and other sympathetic overloaded, sensory overloaded diagnosis. Bruce Lipton has a great quote. He says basically that you can't be both in protection and also healing at the same time. Once you get online and you start really researching for all the things like root causes and how to help your child heal naturally, it can be entirely overwhelming with all of the lifestyle and dietary changes that we're supposed to make. The first thing that parents are taught to do with all of the natural health space is to remove toxins, chemicals from every part of our lives. Cleaners, foods, detergents, but in every day we see in our practice mothers that come in and case histories where they've done all of this, they've removed all the things, but their child still struggles. In nearly 90% of those cases, the one thing that we find in the case history again and again, birth trauma, by way of either interventions such as forceps, vacuum, or some other diet or birth trauma. What does it do to a child with having so many major challenges with processing and detoxing and chemicals? The birth injury and trauma causes their central nervous system to shift into what is known as subluxated or sympathetic dominant state. That is primarily because the injury occurs in the brainstem and basically negatively affects the function of the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is basically controls the autonomic nervous system function, particularly when it comes to the digestive function and immune function, especially getting rid of toxins, inflammation, mucus, and so forth. As long as that subluxation, that neurological and vagus nerve dysfunction remains, the child will still struggle in their gut, their immune health. Nothing will help kind of fix that and balance it out. If you feel like you've tried every natural solution out there and you're still spending tons of money every month on clean, organic foods and natural cleaning products, you're doing an amazing job and have taken some of the biggest steps in the right direction. But there's still maybe more going on with their nervous system, and we encourage you to head to our website to read more about birth trauma, the vagus nerve, and also the nervous system's role in health and healing. Without any doubt, birth trauma is the single biggest overlooked factor in all of healthcare. In our practice, our network of PX docs are determined to get this information out to parents far and wide, so please share this video. Finally, before we close out this video, I have just a couple things basically to request from you. Please, first off, please ask any questions or leave a comment below or send us a direct message. Second, please share with other parents that may need this information, whether it's Facebook, send them the link, groups who need this, because we want to get this message out. Please give us a call to come get your neurological scan today, because we know that a kid that we can see as early as possible has the greatest chance to overcome those neurological stressors. And we thank you so much for being such an amazing parent that you already are. You're putting forth the effort to help your child, and we so appreciate that. And our goal is to continue to help kids of all ages get out of that neurologically overstressed, sympathetic dominant realm. And just thank you for kind of hanging out with me for a little bit, talking about birth trauma. If you have any questions, again, please leave it below. Please give us a call. Thank you guys so much.